Tam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Hiranmayena patrena
Hiranmayena patrena
satyasyapi hitam mukham
yasapishtam
यथा पीतं मुखम्
तत्त्वं पूषन् अपावृणु
तत्त्वं पुष्टान
pampushan apavanu
अपावृणो
सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये.
सत्यधर्माय
sachidratmaya
दृष्टये.
drishtaya.
Yes. Would someone like to read?
I could read. Hare Krishna.
Yes,
O my
please.
Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord explains his personal race, Brahma Jyotir, the dazzling effulgence of his personal form in this way. Brahmana hi pratishtaham amrta veshvashya sasvashya cha dharmashya sukhaya kantikashya cha. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are three aspects of the same absolute truth. Brahman is the aspect most easily perceived by the beginner. Paramatma, the supersoul, is realized by those who have further progressed, and Bhagavan realization is the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.7, where Lord Krishna says that he is the ultimate concept of the absolute truth. Mata parataram nanyat. Therefore, Krishna is the source of Brahman Jyotir as well as the all-pervading Paramatma. Later in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna further explains, Adhava bahunaitena kim jnatena tavarjuna vishtabhoyaham idam Krishnam kamshena shito jagat. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Thus, by his one plenary expansion, the all-pervading Paramatma, the Lord maintains the complete material cosmic creation. He also maintains all manifestations in the spiritual world. Therefore, in this Shruti mantra or Shri Isopanishad, the Lord is addressed as Pushan, the ultimate maintainer. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is always filled with transcendental bliss. Anandamaya Bhishad. When he was present at Vrindavana in India 5,000 years ago, he always remained in transcendental bliss, even from the beginning of his childhood pastimes. The killing of various demons such as Akha, Baka, Putana, and Pralamba were but pleasure excursions for him. In his village of Vrindavana, he enjoyed himself with his mother, brother, and friends, and when he played the role of a naughty butter thief, all his associates enjoyed celestial bliss by his stealing. The Lord's fame as a butter thief is not reproachable, for by stealing butter the Lord gave pleasure to his pure devotees. Everything the Lord did in Vrindavan was for the pleasure of his associates there. The Lord created these pastimes to attract the dry speculators and the acrobats of the so-called Hatha Yoga system who wish to find the absolute truth. Of the childhood play between the Lord and his playmates, the cowherd boys, Shukadeva Goswami says in Srimad Bhagavatam, Irham Satam Brahma Sukha Bhurya Dashyam Gatanam Para Daivatena Maya Shitanam Nara Darakena Sakam Vijarahu Kritya Punya Pundra. The personality of Godhead, who is perceived as the impersonal, blissful Brahman by the Gyanis, who is worshipped as the Supreme Lord by devotees in the mood of servitorship, and who is considered an ordinary human being by mundane people, played with the cowherd boys who had attained their position after accumulating many pious activities. Thus, the Lord is always engaged in transcendental loving activities with his spiritual associates in the various relationships of Santa, neutrality, Dasya, servitorship, Sakhya, friendship, Vachalya, parental affection, and Madhurya, conjugal love. Since it is said that Lord Krishna never leaves Vrindavana Dhama, one may ask how he manages the affairs of the creation. This is answered in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord pervades the entire material creation by his plenary part, known as the Paramatma or the Supersoul. Although the Lord personally has nothing to do with material creation, maintenance, and destruction, he causes all these things to be done by his plenary expansion, the Paramatma. Every living entity is known as Atma, soul, and the principal Atma who controls them as all is Paramatma, the Supersoul. The system of God realization is a great science. The materialistic Sakya yogis can only analyze and meditate on the 24 factors of material creation, for they have very little information of the Purusha, the Lord. And the impersonal transcendentalists are simply bewildered by the glaring effulgence of the Brahma Jyotir. If one wants to see the absolute truth in full, one has to penetrate beyond the 24 material elements and the glaring effulgence as well. Sri Isopanishad points towards this direction, praying for removal of the Hiranmaya Patra, the dazzling covering of the Lord. Unless the covering is removed, uh, uh, so one can perceive the real face of the personality of Godhead, factual realization of the absolute truth can never be achieved. The Paramatma feature of the personality of Godhead is one of three plenary expansions, or Vishnu Tattvas, collectively known as the Purusha avatars. One of these Vishnu Tattvas, who is within the universe, is known as Kshirodaka Shai Vishnu. He is the Vishnu among the three principal deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and he is the all-pervading Paramatma in each and every living individual entity. The second Vishnu Tattva within the universe is Kaprodaka Sai Vishnu, the collective supersoul of all living entities. Beyond these two is Karanadaka Sai Vishnu, who lies in the causal ocean. He is the creator of all universes. The yoga system teaches the serious student to meet the Vishnu Tattvas after going beyond the 24 material elements of the cosmic creation. The culture of empiric philosophy helps one realize the impersonal Brahma Jyotir, which is the glaring effulgence of the transcendental body of Lord Shri Krishna. That the Brahma Jyotir is Krishna's effulgence is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita as well as the Brahma Samchita. Yasya Prabhupada Jagat Anda Koti Kotish Ashesha Vasudhari Bhuti Hinam Tad Brahma Nikshalam Anantam Ashesha Bhutam Kavindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Hajami. The millions and millions of universes, there are innumerable planets, and each and every one of them is different from the others by its cosmic constitution. All of these planets are situated in a corner of the Brahma Jyotir. This Brahma Jyotir is about the personal rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, whom I worship. This mantra from the Brahma Samchita is spoken from the platform of factual realization of the Absolute Truth, and the Shruti mantra of Sri Isopanishad under discussion confirms this mantra as a process of realization. The Isopanishad mantra is a simple prayer to the Lord to remove the Brahma Jyotir so that one can see his real face. This Brahma Jyotir effulgence is described in detail in several mantras of the Mundaka Upanishad. Hiranmaya Parekashe Vircharam Brahman Nishkalam Tat Brahm Jyotisham Jyotis Tadyat Atma Vido Vidu Natatra Surya Bhaktina Chandra Tarakam Nema Vidyato Panti Kotoyam Akhi Tam Eva Pantam Anubhati Sarvam Tasya Bhasha Sarvam Idam Viphanti Brahma Vidam Mritam Ashtat Brahma Tasya Brahma Dakshinaras Kotarena Adhas Korvinam Chaprastram Brahmai Idam Vishwam Idam Varishtam. In the spiritual realm beyond the material covering is the unlimited Brahman effulgence, which is free from material contamination. That effulgent white light is understood by transcendentalists to be the light of all lights. Would you scroll down? Hare Krishna. In that realm, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, fire, or electricity for illumination. Indeed, whatever illumination appears in the material world is only a reflection of that supreme illumination. That Brahman is in front and in back, in the north, south, east, and west, and also overhead and below. In other words, that supreme Brahman effulgence spreads throughout both the material and spiritual skies. Perfect knowledge means knowing Krishna is the root of this Brahman effulgence. This knowledge can be gained from such scriptures as Srimad Bhagavatam, which perfectly elaborates the science of Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the author, Srila Vyasadeva, has established that one will describe the supreme truth as Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan according to one's realization of him. Srila Vyasadeva never states that the Supreme Truth is a jiva, an ordinary living entity. The living entity should never be considered the all-powerful Supreme Truth. If he were the Supreme, he would not need to pray to the Lord to remove his dazzling cover so that the living entity could see his real face. The conclusion is that one who has no knowledge of the potencies of the Supreme Truth will realize the impersonal Brahman. Similarly, when one realizes the material potencies of the Lord but has little or no information of the spiritual potencies, he attains Paramatma realization. Thus, both Brahman and Paramatma realization of the Absolute Truth are partial realizations. However, when one realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, in full potency after the removal of the Hiramaya Padra, one realizes Vasudeva Sarvam iti. Lord Sri Krishna, who is known as Vasudeva, is everything Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you. He is Bhagavan, the root, and Brahman, the Paramatma, are his branches. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is a comparative analysis of three types of transcendentalists: the worshippers of the impersonal Brahman, Gyanis, the worshippers of Paramatma, featured yogis, and the devotees of Lord Shri Krishna. It is stated there that Gyanis, those who have cultivated Vedic knowledge, are better than ordinary fruitive workers, that the yogis are still greater than the Gyanis, and that among all yogis, those who constantly serve the Lord with all their energies are the topmost. In summary, a philosopher is better than a laboring man, a mystic is superior to a philosopher, and all the mystic yogis, he who follows Bhakti Yoga, constantly engaging in the service of the Lord, is the highest. Sri Isopanishad directs us towards this perfection. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. हिरण मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखं तत्त्वं पुषान् अपावृणु सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the very beginning, it is mentioned, Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yat jnanamadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. See, the living entity is Anu, is microscopic, and the Supreme Lord is Vibhu, he is infinite. So imagine this, you are you are now sitting on the land of Finland or India. Imagine the size. You see the map. In the map, you can see what is the shape of India, what is the shape of Finland, Europe, Asia. But can you really see it? Like with your eyes, can you see how big? Or forget about Finland or India. Can you just see how big is Bombay or Helsinki? We know that it is like this, but we cannot really perceive it because it is so big. Now imagine this is just a tiny, tiny fragment. It's a very, very tiny fragment of Helsinki is a tiny fragment of Finland. Finland is a tiny fragment of this earth. And this earth is a very tiny fragment of this solar system, which is a very tiny fragment of this universe. So we are so small. We are living in such a small scale. How can we perceive the Lord who's infinite? Material worlds are one third of the total. The spiritual existence is three times the size of material existence. And even that is and even there we can see that material existence is so big. It's achintya. We can't even imagine how big it is. So how can we perceive the Lord? So, so there are different grades of transcendentalists who try to understand the Lord. So, so there are for example, Gyanis who understand Brahman or the effulgence of the Lord. After many, many lifetimes of intense study, the Jnani can understand what is this effulgence, glowing effulgence. Beyond that is the yogi who practices and meditates on the Supreme within the heart. And after many, many lifetimes, he is able to perceive the Supreme within the heart. And then beyond that still is the Bhakti yogi who is able to understand Bhagavan or the personality of Godhead. So we can imagine how difficult this conception is. These are different grades. So what to speak of materialists who are not even trying? who don't even have a desire to understand the Supreme, who just have some casual interest maybe, but not serious desire. That's why here the prayer is Hiranmayana Patrena Satyasapihitam Mukham. That cover effulgence which is covering your effulgence. So apavranu, please remove it because we cannot perceive. So in this regard, Brahma Samhita says something very interesting. Actually, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying something in the 10th chapter. He says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante maam buddha bhava samanvita. So I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds and everything emanates from me. Those who are wise, who know this, engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So the point is that unless once Krishna decides to reveal himself, we cannot perceive him. In this regard, Brahma Samhita also says something similar. Advaitam achyutam anadim anantarupam adyam purana purusham navayovanam cha videshu durlabh adurlabham atma bhaktau govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. That it's very difficult, he's Advaita, he's one, he's non-distinct, he's non-dual. Achyutam, he's infallible. Anadi Ananta, he has no beginning, he has no end. Adyam Purana Purusham, he's the oldest personality. Nava Yauvanam cha, but he's always like a youth, ever fresh youth. So, Vedeshu Durlabh, one cannot understand him through speculative knowledge or by study of scriptures. Adurlabham Atma Bhaktao, but one can understand him simply by worshipping him. By his will, he reveals himself. In the Bhagavad Gita also it is said, Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. Dadami buddhi yogam tam ye namam upayanti te. Those who worship me, those who are dedicated to worshipping me with unalloyed devotion, I give the intelligence by which they can come to me. So that's the whole point, that Krishna cannot be understood by one's own endeavors, but he's understood by loving devotional service. And that loving devotional service actually is engaged by engaging oneself in the instructions of the spiritual master. So spiritual master means a self-realized soul who has seen Krishna face to face. Because he can show him. Tattvadarshi. He's Tattvadarshi. He has seen Krishna, so he can reveal Krishna to you. So by following his instructions, one gradually becomes purified. So of course, this verse and this purport talks about the greatness of the Supreme Lord. Actually, by his one miniature fragment, he pervades the entire universe. He says that in the Bhagavad Gita, that what more can I tell you? By a fraction of my strength, I pervade the entire universe. So that's Krishna. So what we are living on is Prabha, is the effulgence of the Lord on which we exist. This Prabha is what sustains us. And wherever we see, whatever we see with our eyes is Krishna. But that's very difficult to understand. Because Krishna is simultaneously one and simultaneously he is here, but he's simultaneously not here also. That is the independence he has given us. So this covering of this effulgence, this Hiranmayana Patrena, this effulgence is covering us. It is not covering Krishna. Because our eyes are blinded by Maya, we're not able to perceive him beyond this effulgence. Therefore, the prayer is for him to reveal his original form to us beyond this effulgence. So, of course, these paths of yoga are definitely there. These are different grades of yogis who realize the Supreme. But this is the path by which one can actually see the Supreme Lord and understand one's own relationship. So that is the process, chanting and reading. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunaye Shravan Adi Shuddha Chitte Karaye Uday. So this love for Godhead, actually, so as also Bhagavatam, Brahma Samhita says, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santah Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yama Shama Sundara Chintya Guna Sarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That one can see the Lord with the eyes covered with the solution of love. Lord cannot be seen just like that. Otherwise, he's there. Everything, this whole manifestation is his expansion. But why are we not able to see him? What is this ignorance which forces great personalities like Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu to try and kill him? without understanding. I mean, they are certainly not some foolish people. They are experts in yogic processes. Still, they are not able to perceive him. What to speak of those two? Even personalities like Brahma and Indra are deluded, because one can understand the Lord only by His mercy, by complete loving devotional service, by complete dedication. That is the only process to realize the Supreme. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, if we have a little time, I would like to, if Amardeep could go within Vedabase also, if possible, to Srimad Bhagavatam. I've been reading just earlier today, and that really struck me. There is Srimad Bhagavatam, it's first canto, chapter 11, text 19. So there is a very interesting text, actually. The text before and after, they are basically describing the process of Krishna coming back to Dwaraka and being met by different let's say citizens of the city or of that territory. But this text 19 is actually very interesting, because I had to read it twice. I didn't understand. Do you know which text I'm referring to? So it's like Srimad Bhagavatam, first book, chapter 11. It's very interesting because, on a side note, Prabhupada, it seems like in his books, if I'm not delusional, then he is also a little bit giving an outline for potential Vedic civilization, which is quite interesting, by giving us a proper description of the Sattva Yuga and the times that Krishna was also present. I mean, that time, that beginning of Kali Yuga as well. But yeah, chapter 11 and text 19.
Okay, chapter which? You mean
Yeah, 19. That's the right one. Yeah, Amardeep is now already has found it already. Thank you very much.
okay.
So that is a very
Okay.
interesting. If you would like to read it, I think everybody would be shocked a little bit, but it is very important to read it.
Yes, of course, this one. At the same time, many hundreds of well-known prostitutes began to proceed on various vehicles. They were all very eager to meet the Lord, and their beautiful faces were decorated with dazzling earrings, which enhanced the beauty of their foreheads. So yeah, so this was very culture. So you see,
The
we may
purport is
not hate
interesting.
even the prostitutes. Yes, yes, probably. You want to read? Yeah.
No, sorry.
So even to date, there are many prostitutes in great cities of India who are sincere devotees of the Lord. By the tricks of chance, one may be obliged to adopt a profession which is not very adorable in the society, but that does not hamper one in executing devotional service to the Lord. Hmm. Yeah. So you see, Prabhu, this is an abominable profession, and of course, it's not that like it's a very favorable position to be a devotee, but still one can execute devotion in any position, and the Vedic civilization is very universal. Vedic civilization encourages devotion in all segments. There is nothing forbidden. So when we talk about the Varnashram system is meant to engage every class of society in devotional service of the Lord. Some positions are unfavorable. Shudra, Vaishya, these are unfavorable positions. Brahmana, Kshatriya, these are favorable positions. But in any circumstance, one should be able to execute devotional service. That's the gist of Vedic culture, that in any position you can execute it. So if one can be in a favorable position, one should do that. One should not deliberately place oneself in an unfavorable situation. But if one finds oneself, unfortunately, still there is no discouragement. One can still proceed further in bhakti.
Yeah, that's very interesting balance over here, because, for example, the those elite prostitutes, as I understand in that purport, well, of course, we can say they didn't have a choice, but technically, even in today's society, women also have a choice. Sometimes they don't have, and then it's a very, of course, miserable situation. I understand that. But usually there is a choice, at least some sort of course, that you are refusing from incomes and have to be not so materially supplied. But it's very, very strange that such activity also is and I cannot say approved, but here later Prabhupada also mentions about how it is better to maintain a class of prostitutes than to encourage prostitutes within society. So yeah, it's like very interesting because I think that this kind of part of knowledge is at least in Bhagavad Gita, it's not spoken as much about because of course the goal is purification of people, but here it was like a little bit sobering that of course there is like dog eaters and they will be dog eaters even if you bring Krishna consciousness to the whole world. So that's interesting how if we allow our imagination and imagine that in some hundreds years or decades, maybe there is a possibility for such Vedic government somewhere or globally also, then I think it's very important such kind of purpose also to understand for that future society.
Yeah, there's a future society possibility, but that all depends on how the consciousness of the people changes. So our job is to just propagate the holy names through chanting and through books. So that's our duty. But we should not wait for social conditions to change. We should just progress ourselves. Society will change eventually. But even in times of Lord Krishna, they were atheists. So, like even in Vedic times, they were atheistic class. That's why this Advaita philosophy comes. So that's why this Brahman realization comes. So it's all
So
right. They
how they
will.
were treated, like if you could shortly describe, like they were outcasts or how is it described?
No, they are very much there. Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye. So very rarely in the material world, any soul who enters is entered here for sense gratification. So it's not very likely that they would. It's not likely that they would always be like all devotees. That's why we have this different yoga processes by which even an atheist can actually progress slowly. This Vedanta philosophy, Advaita Vedanta, is actually meant for atheistic class. So they'll have some conception of the absolute truth, and eventually they will also progress to the point of understanding the supreme. Right now, they can appreciate him only in his impersonal feature. So Krishna is merciful; he provides that. When one has become purified after many lifetimes of penances, one will actually understand the supreme.
Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Great. So we stop here today then.